Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Talk to My Customer. I am your host, Chad Counts, along with my co-host, Richard Tyler. Rich, how are we doing today?
Great. How are you, Chad?
Excellent. It's Good Friday, so happy Easter and happy Passover to all who are celebrating and observing this year. Hope you guys are able to be with your loved ones, with your community, with your colleagues, everybody that's around you, and able to take that in this year. You know, many have fought hard to get us here, and it's good to see so many people are vaccinated and able to be around each other. Starting to see some light and some hopefulness and some joy return, which is always great. In our industry, also a lot to be joyful here as well. I think we had multiple, 3 or more companies that went over 20% above record this month. So that was exciting to see, a lot of fun.
Really exciting.
I think it's going to be tough to top that, but always a good challenge to have for us going forward. Hope you all were able to experience some of that same success with your teams as well. With the long month of March, with the great selling market and everything that was coming with it, we hope you guys were able to experience that success as well. So we're going to be returning this April, going to be starting on a series on qualification, getting back to our fundamentals, our basics, our technique, as we continue to build in here through the year. We expect that we're going to have some other sales series comes up. We're finishing a new salesperson series here this month. We'll probably forecast to do a closing sales series. We haven't done that in a while. Probably here in May to kick that off for those of you who would be interested in sending more of your expert or experienced moderate level salespeople to that particular school. We'll be looking to set up some series for that as well. Had a really good experience with that the last time around. And of course, we're going to be doing some of our professional coaching and consulting as well going forward. So whether it be this industry or outside of this industry, if you know anybody that is a high performer and just going through a little bit of burnout or kind of at the end of their rope, so to speak, we want you to know that we're here to support you guys through any of those difficulties, that peak stressfulness. And doesn't have to be long. We're talking three meetings or less in some cases, or shorter series to help people break through some of those professional barriers and transitions that come with life these days. So on to our series for this month. Oh, and before I jump in real quick, please subscribe or like the podcast here on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes, wherever. If you'd be so kind as to leave a review, that would be great for us as well. And if you need to reach out to us and get a hold of us, of course, our multiple social media channels, Counts Business Consulting is our website, as well as our Facebook handle, Counts Business Consulting. And Rich Tyler and Chad Counts, we're also available for you on LinkedIn. So hopefully you will connect with us there. We post a podcast every week. So, all right. On to our topic for this week. We're going to start with qualification. We're going to be doing a series on qualification. And of course, leading off for qualification, we got to talk about who we're dealing with, right? We got to talk about who we're serving, why that matters, why that's important. Rich, how many of the calls that we listened to or have listened to over the last many years does the individual or person never come up? Do we never get a name? Do we never find out who we're talking to? It's just the parts, just the fax man.
Yeah.
How often does who we're dealing with fail to come up in phone calls?
It happens all the time. And I would say I was just running a series for new salespeople in the industry. And I know it comes up a lot with them, but not just with them. I mean, I think some old salts as well have a tendency to do it. But I hear calls all the time that are somebody coming on the phone, asking for a part, then the salesperson giving a price, and that's it. And then I'll ask the salesperson that I'm reviewing, I'm like, who was that? It's like, who was that masked man on the other end of the phone? We have no idea. Was that a retail customer? It could have been. Was it a wholesale customer? It could have been. There wasn't really anything that they said or did that indicated one way or the other.
Yeah, at a minimum, if we wanted to follow up, we'd have no means to do that other than just a phone call or a phone number, right? And it's
Right.
like, oh, that's very helpful. I'm going to dial this number and have no idea who I'm talking to. I'm not going to have a name. I'm not going to
Yeah.
have a situation. I'm not going to have anything beyond this phone number called at some point and requested this part,
Yeah.
which is not great. Secondly, on the high level, our mission, our duty, our job, however you want to look at it, as salespeople in this particular industry, is to serve people and help them with their problem. Right? We sell parts, is what we do, but we don't sell parts without context. We sell parts because somebody has a need, somebody has a problem. Either the car is inoperable, it's damaged, it doesn't look good, whatever that case may be. And it's part of our job is to make sure they get what they need and their problem is taken care of. Okay, whether it's our parts, whether it's somebody else's parts, whether it's aftermarket, new, used, whatever, reman, doesn't matter to me, as long as I'm the salesperson serving them and helping them with their issue. I don't think that can come up. I don't think you can have this thought of I'm here to help this person if you never take into consideration who that person is.
Right. And I would point out that it should already kind of be a given that based on who there are, the way that you're going to help them is going to be different.
Yeah, exactly. Their particular situation, their needs, what type of product they're dealing with, all of that could vary depending on who it is you're helping. They might need more information. They might need, different aspects of our service to feel confident in what they're doing. So don't forget that it's easy, especially coming off a month like we've had where phones are ringing off the hook and we're flying and we're trying to, in some ways, cut corners a little bit just to keep up with the volume that we have. We
Mhm.
never want to forget who we serve and why we serve.
Mhm.
So keeping that at the forefront, I think, is helpful, and it also keeps in mind for us, um, ongoing, even if there's issues from past sales. Hey, that was part of the duty to begin with. It wasn't just to get the money up front. It wasn't just to get the sale. It was to help this person with their problem. So
Mhm.
long as their problem persists and they need my help, I'm here to give it, and that's what we're about.
Mhm.
Okay. So what would be some other that's overall why who needs to be a part of what we're doing, right? That needs to be a component of our interaction and our process.
For sure.
With that being a part of our process, what are some of the elements that change in a call, in an interaction, Rich, depending on who we're talking to? So if we start going down that road of qualifying who, what are some of the differences and pathways that we're likely to find based on who we're talking to?
Okay, that's a great question. When I think about that, I am obviously, because I'm so sales centric and I'm thinking about closing the sale, right at the top of my list is, out of all the people I talk to, what situations are the easiest to close? And so what comes to mind immediately is small dollar retail sales.
Right. And why would you say those are easier to close?
Okay, those are easiest to close because of the fact that it shouldn't take a lot of decision on whether or not a customer is going to spend $50 or $100. And two, because of the fact that you're speaking directly to the decision maker most of the time on those retail calls.
Yeah, I would say small dollar retail, there's much less likelihood to need to haggle. I feel like most people, if you have it, if it's convenient, if it's there, they're not necessarily hunting around to say $5 or $10 or things like that. If you can make it convenient, if you can meet what they have and when they need it, more often than not, you can close that deal. So I agree. There's a higher sense of knowing that this is a retail case and either they're driving or it's being shipped or they're picking it up, whatever it is. Okay, great. Let's get this started. Let's take payment today. Let's move on. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, you brought up decision maker. Okay. So if it's not a decision maker. So I would put this in two categories: decision maker and gatekeeper. Okay, why is that important to know which one we're talking to, Rich?
Because it should affect the strategy that you take on the call, and it should affect the way that you try and move the call forward.
Yeah,
or try and move that, try and move that particular sales opportunity forward.
And typically, when should sales professionals figure out whether it's a decision maker or a gatekeeper in order for them to be effective in the techniques they're changing?
Before they give a price.
Yeah, before we really get too far into the details of the part. There's a lot of times where I'm going through the lookup screen. Okay, I finished looking up the part. But before I start talking about what we have, what we don't have, the mileage, the condition, the color, the damage, whatever, who am I speaking with today? Okay, is this your car or is this a customer's car? Okay, and have you already booked this job? Is the vehicle already there? You want to go as far down as how far down the road are we making this decision? And as you could see by me repeating those questions, those aren't difficult questions to ask, nor are they difficult to answer. They may be, might take 3 or 4 questions to get into who the decision maker is, but at the same time, you're going to get really quick answers to that. And more often than not, I would say 90% of the time, when we figure out we are talking to a gatekeeper, we're talking to somebody else who is going to talk to somebody else. I've got to talk to my customer. I've got to talk to I was calling on behalf of my sister. I was calling whoever. We don't find that out until the very end of the call, and
right.
Then we give up.
Right. It always happens. It'll be like, yes, I have that engine. It's $500 plus $100 core. All right, well, this isn't my car. This is my girlfriend's car. So let me talk to her and then give you a call back. Always classic.
Yeah, it's air out of the balloon of every salesperson. We were always just like, and of course that was the call where we executed our qualification. We upsold the warranty. We did yeoman's work on that, and then all of a sudden we stepped on a rake and we're getting smacked in the face.
Right.
Somebody else, but. I mean, to me, this always, whoever is on the call calling for parts, their opinion matters the most. And it doesn't matter whether they are the decision maker or the gatekeeper, okay?
Right.
That person has been entrusted to make that call. If it's a retail person, then so-and-so trusts this person's opinion enough to want them to run front on solving this problem for them. So even if they've got to get approval from somewhere else. All right, well, that's so great of you to call on behalf of your sister. Sound like you must be the auto expert in the family. Yeah, I'm always the handy guy. I'm always doing this. Okay, great. Well, if it were you, would you buy this part, right? So you can still close them as the gatekeeper, right? You still put them in the catbird seat. Right. On the wholesale, on the customer side, you've got to talk to your customer. How often do your customers disagree with what you're offering? How often do customers buy the part that you suggest? Okay, then if it were you, would you buy this product, right? Mm-hmm. If the decision were up to you, is this the product you would buy? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you circle back even when they're the gatekeeper and reinforce and remind them that even though they are a gatekeeper, they are an influential gatekeeper. They, in many ways, are the decision maker in this process, even if they're awaiting final approval. Typically, what they think is best is going to be the direction that the repair or the part request goes.
For sure. So like I said, knowing who it is that you're speaking with should have a direct influence on the strategy that you take, such that if we're talking to a decision maker, we have a lot more opportunity just to go get that money versus talking to a gatekeeper, in which really, instead of trying to get that money, what we should be trying to do is make sure that we give them a forum, a space in the conversation to provide us with their opinion and their feedback.
Right, exactly. Okay. There are 2 other components that we're going to touch on in terms of being important for who we're talking to and why qualified sale addresses these. So new or repeat customers is another factor in who the other person is on the other end and what kind of information they might benefit from or might not need. Rich, how should being a new or repeat customer impact our sales call?
Wow. Okay. Well, let's start with a new customer, because I mean that's kind of been a topic of conversation from last week and the week before. Given that a lot of the people that we're working with are coming off these record selling months. Last week we talked about just knowing whether or not this person's done business with you. If they haven't, if this is a new person, this is a chance for you to add somebody to your book of customers.
Yeah.
This is somebody totally unfamiliar with how you personally operate as a salesperson or how your yard operates as a yard. So it's really your chance to inform them, to get to better understand their business and have a deeper understanding of whether or not they could be somebody who buys from you weekly, monthly, whatever the case might be.
So figuring out if it's a new customer, whether it's wholesale or retail. In retail, probably less emphasis on this, but wholesale, how can your company benefit them, right? If you are new to them, it could be your warranty, it could be your access to inventory, it could be that you have new reman, you have lots of options available. What are they used to? Are they aware of this? Are they aware of your delivery times? There could be a number of ways that your company could benefit them, and they might not know that. So when you take a new call, or from a new wholesale account, those are things you should consider. You might not be able to cover all that on the time frame that you're talking about. All the same, if I know this is a new customer, hey, would it be okay if I follow up with you later and just let you know a little bit more about our company? Since this is the first time we have a chance to do business, I'd really like you guys to know what we can offer you in order to assist your customers better.
One of the things I think I would repeat there that you mentioned, and that is, how can we do differently from whatever it is that you've been experiencing before, is an important distinction.
Yeah, clearly you're not going to your regular supplier right now, you're coming to us. So there was some sort of gap or reason why you are here today. And so I want to take the opportunity to see if I can expand that even further. For a good fit today, how about tomorrow and other repairs as well?
Right.
Now, if it's a repeat customer, obviously we can thank them for their business. We don't have to go quite into the same detail of the warranty spiel or some other things like that. If there were something new that we're doing, access to new inventory or different things like that, we might want to highlight this for existing customers. We a lot of times assume that they know this, and that's a big miss. They think of us for this, but they don't realize, oh, we have access to new remanufactured product that they can get from us at
that happens all the time. That happens all the time.
And then secondly, you're going to emphasize that relationship more, right? How's the family doing? Did you guys get out snowmobiling this season? Did you get out hunting, or you go to the races, or whatever it is that your customer you might know about your customer? You're going to emphasize that, right? You're going to rework that trust. You're going to make sure everything's in good standing. How was that last order? You're going to make sure you're on good standing. So there's different emphasis for us as salespersons, depending on if this is a new or repeat customer, right? And that's the same for Rich or myself if we're making sales calls on our behalf. Obviously, if we are dealing with somebody we know, we're going to have a different kind of conversation. It's less speculative. It's more about the specifics and the relationship and what we know in the past to be able to connect with them and pick up where we left off. Okay. Mm-hmm. Lastly, who we're talking with. Is this going to be a transactional interaction, or is this going to be a relationship oriented interaction? So what would be some of the differences there in terms of approach, and why might one fall in one category versus another, Rich?
Okay, well, just looking at it the way we just broke it down, it's probably going to be more transactional if it's a retail small dollar part.
Sure.
I would imagine.
And that should, and truthfully, I mean, this is why this stuff matters, is if you're talking a state away, 2 states away, it's going to be a shipped part. It's a retail customer that you're probably never going to do business again. I don't want to spend 10, 15 minutes on a call. I don't want to spend 5 minutes on that call, unless it happens to be a higher dollar part. those are your opportunities as salespeople to be swift, to be direct, and to sell and get off the phone. Right? It's deal or no deal, and we're moving on. If it's relational, all too often we get this backward. How many times do we have a $1,500, $2,000 sale or better, and it's 45 seconds, it's a minute or less?
Yeah, and then the excuse I always hear is, "Oh, I know that guy. I know I had that call that way because he calls me 2 times, 3 times a day."
Yeah. And we don't use the relationship, right? This is somebody I'm going to talk to often. There's no element of this that screams, hey, this is a good relationship. This is positive. This is benefiting me.
Right.
This is benefiting the customer.
Right.
If there's a relational aspect, it should be heard or seen, or, oh, how was that diesel last week? Great. Everything, install went well. Good. Glad to hear it. Got customer out, good reviews. Okay.
Yeah.
You should be using past success to build on repeated success and build on future successes too.
Sure.
So those are great too. I mean, I love doing business with people I've already done business with before, especially coming off a record month. I don't want to take it for granted that it was a record month for them probably also too. It's a great time to be congratulating and celebrating and thanking them for their business. I'm so glad we could do this together. Hey, we couldn't hit our records without you. So thank you very much for your business. We appreciate the opportunity and love being able to work together. So there are ways that you can use this to benefit, right? What's happening on your end? Is there anything changing? A good relationship might clue us in on other conversations about, are there any changes coming? Is there something going to change about how you're ordering parts? Are you guys adding a second location? Are you growing? Are you doing anything different? Adding different bays, whatever. There would be opportunities in this relationship to have conversations more detailed about where we're headed. Hey, is there any way that I can serve you better? Do you need any other points of contact from me? Are you able to get a hold of me as much as you want? Especially, again, coming off a historically busy month. Was there anything from any of your regular customers about things not on time, not being able to get a hold of you? Were there any gaps that you could follow up with and try and cement or address or fix or improve on for this coming month, right? Okay, so that is a walk down who and why who we're talking with matters, why who matters in terms of how we approach the call, what we can do with the call, and what we're going to emphasize on the call. So qualification is not something that a lot of salespeople love to talk about, but it's a very important aspect in terms of the technique. If you want to, put on your salesperson cape and talk about your great skill and aptitude, this is absolutely a core component. Otherwise, we're really talking about good inventory that's selling itself. It's well priced, it's on time, it's processed well, it's good network. But what we bring to the table is our ability to connect with people and use our intellect, use our knowledge, use our history to build and expand successes going forward in the relationships we have. And you cannot do that as a salesperson if you don't know who you're talking to. Okay. So obviously we're going to start there. That's our first run this month, and we're going to continue it all month talking about different aspects of qualification and how this can benefit you and how you can grow going forward. Now, again, these aren't necessarily quick turns, right? These aren't necessarily going to spin quick closes, although in some cases it can. But this will build a base. This will build clientele. This will help you spotlight opportunities where you could recruit new customers and new accounts. There's a lot to that help you grow and expand that end up being exponential over the life of a salesperson. So again, thank you for joining us this week. Happy Easter, happy Passover to all of you all who are celebrating. Hope you had a historic month last month. And if you did not, you need to give us a call. You need to reach out to us. You missed the boat. It was a record month last month, I would say, for anybody worth their salt and sales. So if you didn't experience that success, you need to reach out to us so we can figure out why you didn't achieve that. Okay. So thanks for joining us. Find us on Facebook, Counts Business Consulting, or our website, countsbusinessconsulting.com. Rich and I, of course, are on LinkedIn. Rich, Tyler, Chad Counts. We're happy to hear from you all there. And otherwise, until next time, everybody, hope you're doing well, and to continued success in April, a 22-day month. Should see some other really great sales numbers this month as well. So until next time, everybody, take care. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Thanks for listening.